talk about Nikita.
Yeah, you can talk about anything you like.
All right. Legend.
Go whenever you're ready.
All right, Glen Jennings, Tim Tszyu, Carlos Ocampo. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I think it's a great fight. Initially, we were considering a stay busy fight, but the reality is for Tim at this level, this elite level, that there are no easy stay busy fights. So Ocampo is the best Mexican in the division. He's tough, we know what to expect, but I think ideally, preparing for Charlo, it's good to expose Tim to all these different styles, and the Mexican's one we haven't had yet. So I know Tim's looking forward to it, and we're very confident that he's got the goods to take care of it, and then we'll take care of Charlo.
I suppose once you step up to that world level, you can't really go back.
You cannot. And I just had this discussion with Liam Wilson choosing Ramirez. Same deal. You can't go back, you can't go sideways, you can only go forward. There's an expectation when fighters reach that elite level that that's where they belong, and to stay there, you've got to perform at that level.
Tim Tszyu's last performance against Tony Harrison, great performance. How do you look back on that fight?
Really happy, really pleased. Everything we did, we upped the ante on the camp. We brought in the best sparring partners from the United States. As you know, we had a long camp well underway for Charlo, and on Christmas Day the cancellation came through. So we quickly rebounded from that, made a decision that I'd leave the boys in America, and so we then brought the sparring partners from America to Australia to finish it off. So we did everything at the elite level, and it certainly showed. And in particular, one of the things that we added was Tim now has a nutritionist that does all his meal preparations, and which made his entire weight cut and everything so much more professional. So we've actually, not just Tim, gone to elite level. I think everything we do from management and the team also has gone to the elite level.
What do you think's been the change? He's improved so much over the past 4 or 5 years. What is it about him? Is it just upping things to that elite level, or is it something in his mind? What is it about Tim that...
I think it's a combination. The roadmap from day one 5 years ago was to keep him busy. And for me personally was to try to expose him to as many different fighters as we could. At the same time, putting him in front of cameras in regional areas to build up his profile. All of those things contribute to the product you see today, and Tim has he's matured into a man. He was a young kid back then. He's a man now. He's filling out physically, mentally. He's much stronger at being able to deal with what's in front of him. Fame and fortune and being an elite fighter can be difficult for some. But we've done it in a way very protective of Tim, that we've allowed him to come along, focus on his craft whilst we take care of the business. And so, yeah, I think it's a whole range of things, but same old answer from me. There's a string of DNA that runs through him from his father that is the spine of what he does, and that's a wonderful thing to have.
Now, looking ahead to this Charlo fight, what's the latest there? Is there any movement on that fight?
There's not a lot. We do know that he's back in training, so that's a bonus. And we do know that he's hitting a bag, so that's a bonus. It will ultimately just come down to now, we're expecting September, October. And that would be based on the fact of two things. One, that his hand is cleared and the medical clearance comes through. But secondly, that at that time of the year, that Australia and America can actually get their crews together for such a big pay-per-view. It's going to be huge. But yeah, look, we're excited. We believe that fight will happen. The fight was signed for January, so that hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is that we've had to step back while he recovers. So the fight is still in place.
Stylistically, what does Charlo present as a risk to Tim? What does he bring to that fight that Tim needs to sort of be mindful of?
There's not much Charlo can't do. To be honest, he's the undisputed champion for a reason. He's a very gifted fighter, very strong, very aggressive, punches hard, has great distance and timing. There's not much he can't do. I do believe, but that the for us, and a fight style is that he's really not come up against somebody that's non-stop pressure. That's a real difficult thing to deal with. And Tim showed that with Harrison. If you don't get that second to adjust, or that second to consider, how do I deal with this? What do? You just got to do your best. And Tim takes them out of their comfort zone and out of their normal style zone. So all of those positives can be taken away just by that constant pressure. You know, it's hard to think and react if you don't get a second to do so.
Now Nikita back in the ring in a couple of weeks as well. How's he going?
He's going great. He's had a great camp. Again, we're walking Nikita along at a really nice pace. I won't rush him. Whilst we keep him busy, and there's always the talk because of who he is and everything that he should be fighting better. That will come, but it's not a race. We're not going to risk Nikita in a race, and we didn't with Tim. So it's a good step-up fight. Benjamin Bomber should put up good opposition, and we hope to have Nikita in the ring 2 or 3 more times this year.
So Nikita even got a little bit more pressure on him. Obviously, Tim could fight on smaller shows, but Nikita sort of thrust right in there. There's a lot of pressure on him.
Well, Tim had 13 fights before we went on to a promotional deal. So we had the beauty of going to small regional towns, and it was a real fun time. Nikita's literally come straight into main event with a no-limit contract. But he's handled it very well, and again, very protective of him in terms of letting him be who he is and let him mature into the fighter that he will be, and keeping the business distant from them, because when you do have the Tszyu surname, there is an expectation regardless. And so it's a bit of a false expectation. These boys build their own style and their own persona in boxing, but there's the name that everyone keeps bringing up. But look, Nikita's going into his... he's still in his infancy. He's only early in his career, and I would think that possibly next year we'll start to see him elevate up to some higher quality.
Now Liam Wilson as well, you've just signed him, I believe, is that true?
Yeah, Liam's come over and joined us. My management company, Fighters First, there's only the 3 boys, and of course we've still got Shannon O'Connell, but she's under a rehab with a shoulder replacement. We're not quite sure what's going to happen with Shannon, but it's wonderful to have Liam come over on board. I think he's at that stage of his career on the back of Navarrete where he's got a glimpse of what he's capable of. And so going forward, we're just about to sign him to a full freight, no limits contract for 3 years, there's not many of them out there. And that will secure his future, that'll secure his fights, and give us the opportunity to put him on the platform where he belongs and give him that stability and and create that environment with our team that allows him to be his best.
You could probably headline a few shows up here in Brisbane as well.
He will. Yeah, one of the ones we are looking at and spoke with Matty Rose as an all-Brisbane fight. That we'd love to do that. Gold Coast now, then there's a couple of more fight dates, and it'd be great to have Liam headline his own card. I think he's at that stage where he deserves the recognition. Again, like Tim, once you go to that elite level and challenge for a world title, there's no going backwards. And Ramirez, everyone's going, oh my God, Ramirez, he's a machine, But the reality for Liam is that he's got to take these fights. He's got to fight this level because he's got to get better. You can't get better fighting lesser fighters. You can't get better, looking for easy tune-ups. So there are no tune-ups at elite level. You've got to go in with the big guns, and you've got to prove yourself every time.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Anytime.